Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for this documentary of my community collaboration that I have been working on for the past several months. Now, as we get into this, of course, my PowerPoint is going to be funny with me for a second, but I'm from Augusta and it's a big arts loving community. There are a lot of annual events that take place especially around performing arts. And this is the picture of the last time that we had Arts in the Heart of Augusta, which is an annual fall event that I spotlighted at the beginning of this class, which involves all of the local music and theater organizations. So it's a town that loves the arts. And there are a lot of different ethnicities that come in and display all types of clothing from different countries and especially food. If you're a international food lover, it is the place to be. There are tons of things that are available all through the week. And as we got into this, I started to look at the different steps. And number one, obviously, was to spotlight an organization that I might be able to work with, and found Storyland Theater, which I have known over the years and know the director well, but never really thought about ways to have a partnership. So I began to look at the organization and some of the things that they've been doing, and I was surprised to learn, first of all, that they reach out completely to elementary school students. And you can see here, over 30 years, 750,000 students have been exposed to musical theater and live drama. Now, what's really important about this is how many different students at these schools don't get the opportunity to see anything like this at any point. So this is a really great opportunity to expose kids to theater. So I began to look at this and think, what can I possibly do to help with this? So I began to talk to the director and think about ways that we could partner. Now, of course, with COVID, all of that had been affected greatly. They were doing all of their programs online, so it was a little tricky. So the second step was to do the interviews themselves. I started to talk to the director, Barbara Feldman, about things we could find. And then I began to talk to my principal about ways that we could partner with this organization with my own drama troupe at my school. And so what I began to build was a model of what we could use for this potential partnership. And it began with discovery and investigation of what we actually could do. I wanted to obviously identify all of the stakeholders, identify the scope of what we're doing, begin to create a vision, begin to look for solutions and find ways to organize, and then to look at expected outcomes. And what I began to find is that this organization wants to do a much better job of reaching schools that are not currently participating. Although you think, well, 750,000, that's a lot of people that have been exposed to theater, but there are many more. And remember, that's over the course of 30 years. So there's a lot more that they could be doing. So as I began to develop this model, it turned into more of a map where I created this visual that I could show stakeholders and that I could use kind of as a springboard for what I'm doing. Starting with the brainstorming, what can we do? How can we reach more people? What have we done in the past? And then, spotlighting the interviews, the follow-up to the interviews, the planning model that I just shared, and how can I get this visual out to people? How can I get this on social media? How can I get this to schools? And it was a little tricky because right now we're in the middle of summer. So finding ways to start to get this out there was a little tricky. But like all things, there are people who are always on Facebook, always on Instagram, and we're up to the challenge of helping to share. So that brings us to where I have been over the past couple of weeks, which is looking into the potential impact of what we're doing. What I see here is an opportunity for us to reach many more students and get them exposed to live theater, and to give my students at school and potentially other high school troops who might join us the chance to do some community outreach of our own. This is a win-win for everyone. It's a win-win for our school because it's a great way for us to teach about community service. It's spectacular for Storyland Theater because it just gives them more exposure and more impact. And finally, I believe this will continue to open the curtain, if you will, to potential partnerships like this in the future. There are too many arts organizations that don't have direct partnership and collaboration with local schools. And that has to be something that changes because people all the time say, well, we need more arts in schools. Well, here is a perfect way to do this. So I hope that this collaboration moving forward is going to see great impact in the community, great impact for our schools, great impact for this organization as a whole. Thanks so much for listening.